And in this lesson, we're going to talk about the difference between got and gotten. Now, if you ask people, many of them, including many teachers, will tell you one of two things. They'll either tell you that got is right and gotten is wrong, or they'll tell you that got is British and gotten is American. Well, who's correct? As it turns out, both of those views are kind of correct because the word gotten is only used in American and Canadian English. It's not used in British or Australian English. Now that also means that if you're a speaker of, or if you're learning British English or say New Zealand English, then gotten is wrong in your variety of English. So gotten is wrong for you. Now, if you're only interested in British English or Australian English or New Zealand English, the good news for you is you don't have to worry about the word gotten. For the rest of your life, you can just use got. But if you want to learn American English, or if you want to communicate with speakers of American or Canadian English, then it's important for you to know the difference between got and gotten. Now let's back up for a moment and let's be clear what we're talking about. Take a look at this chart I have over here. Now, as you can see, for the most part, this chart looks exactly the same. So in the present tense, everybody says get. And in the past tense as well, the common form is got. So a Brit would say, I got my salary yesterday. And an American would also say, I got my salary yesterday. So you see there's no difference there. These forms are common in both the present and the past tense. The difference is when you look at the past participle form of the verb get. Here, BRE means British English, and in British English, the past participle of get is got, and the past participle in American English is gotten. Remember that every verb has three forms: present, past, past participle, like do, did, and done. Done is that third form, that past participle form. In the same way, go, went, gone are the three forms of the verb go. So gone is the past participle. In the same way, gotten is the past participle of get in American English, and got is in British English. Pretty simple, right? Well, actually the picture is a little more complicated than that. Take a look at these examples. I've got interested in mountain climbing. This sentence is in British English. In American English, I've gotten interested in mountain climbing. Now here we're using gotten because this is the past participle of get. The sentence is in the present perfect tense, so we're using gotten. But take a look at this sentence. I've got a question. This is British English. But in American English, the sentence is exactly the same. I've got a question. Or how about this example? Lois says she's got to leave. This is the same in British and in American English. But how can that be? We just discussed that in American English we use gotten, but I just showed you two examples where in American English we're using got as the past participle. Well, all that confusion stems from the fact that the verb get has many meanings. Now, if you take your dictionary and you go to the entry on get, you will see many different meanings. Well, thankfully for us, we only need to worry about 5 meanings. All right, you'll see here that I have another chart and I have written gotten up here and got over here. That's because when we use the verb get, in any of these meanings, we use gotten. So when we say get to mean receive or obtain something, or we say get to mean become, or to enter a place or move, then we use gotten as the past participle form. Take a look at these examples. They've gotten a lot of complaints about their pizzas lately. Now in this sentence, we're using gotten to mean receive. So when I say they've gotten a lot of complaints, I mean they've received a lot of complaints about their pizzas. In this next example, Todd has gotten a lot more confident since his last presentation. Here the meaning is become. So Todd has become a lot more confident since his last presentation. In this example, I had just gotten into my hotel room when I heard footsteps on the corridor. Here, when I say gotten into, I mean enter. So I had just entered my hotel room when I heard footsteps on the corridor. But when we use get to mean possess, like when we say have got, I've got something. Or when we use get to mean must, so I've got to go, for example. In those cases, we don't use gotten even in American English. We use got. Have a look at these examples. We've got 2 kids. Here, what I'm saying is that we have 2 kids. Have got is just a way of saying have in this sentence. That's why we're not using gotten. Now, this form is a little less common in American English. We usually just say we have 2 kids, but you can say we've got, and that's not wrong. And in this next example, if you want to retire at 50, you've got to start saving up now. Here, got to means must, or you should. So you should start saving up now, or you must start saving up now, can both be used in the place of got to. In our original examples, here's the first one. I've gotten interested in mountain climbing. Can you see why we're using gotten here? We're using it because I'm saying I've become interested. In the second example, I've got a question. Now this is in American English. We're using got, or rather have got, to mean have. I have a question. And in the third example, Lois says she's got to leave. Here, got to means she has to leave or she must leave. Okay, I hope that clarified the difference between got and gotten for you. Now let me give you a small test to see if you can use got and gotten correctly. Now on the screen I've got 5 sentences, and your job is to fill the blank in each one with got or gotten. Take a moment to pause this video and think about your answers. When you're ready, resume the video and check your answers. All right, let's discuss them. Number 1 is the conference room looks terrible. We've got to repaint it. We're using got here because the meaning is must, or we have to repaint it. Number 2, Alan has gotten into a lot of debt in the past couple of years because of his struggling business. Here we're using gotten because the meaning here is to enter. So he's entered into a lot of debt. Number 3, Ruth has got a beautiful swimming pool in her backyard. We're using got here because has got means to have. So Ruth has a beautiful swimming pool in her backyard. Number 4, my daughter has gotten really good grades this year. I'm so happy. In this sentence, we're using gotten because the meaning is received. My daughter has received really good grades. And in this last sentence, I used to suck at golf, but I've gotten a lot better at it now with practice. Here we're using gotten because the meaning is become. All right, I hope you got all of those answers correct. Just remember that gotten is only used in American English. If you're learning or speaking British English or Australian English or any other variety, just use got all the time. All right, I hope you enjoyed this lesson. I'll see you in another lesson soon.